At the beginning of the season, there were a plethora of quarterbacks that we thought could be highly drafted. But as the season went on, that list grew smaller. And as prospects returned back to school, that list diminished further. But now we know who will be in the 2024 NFL Draft. So let's go ahead and let's talk quarterback, starting with my quarterback 10, Joe Milton III out of Tennessee. Initially started his career, though, at Michigan, primarily as a backup, but would eventually transfer to Tennessee, where he would start the first 2 games, and then he would be usurped by Hendon Hooker. Milton would get a chance to start again this past season, where he led the Volunteers to 8 wins. He opted out of the bowl game, so that 9th win doesn't count. Regardless, this guy has great size, 6'5", 235, and likely has the biggest arm in the class. Literal rocket launcher of an arm. He can uncork a ball 60, 70 yards, no problem, with ease. However, his accuracy is a bit all over the place, especially in like the middle intermediate part of the field, so about 10 to 19 yards down the field. He just wasn't good there. 51.5 adjusted completion rate on balls over the middle between 10 to 19 yards. Not good. And it doesn't get any better on third down, which I hear is the most important down in football. Simply put, this guy can't hit the broadside of a barn. However, he is a plus athlete who can extend the play with his feet, and he can absorb contact with that big frame, no problem. Like, he isn't a blazer, but he's like a train. Once he gets going, he's a little hard to stop. And I like when the play breaks down and he has to scramble, he remains a passer with his eyes down the field. That's really good. But unfortunately, his anticipation is like his accuracy. It's all over the place. And it doesn't help that Josh Heupel's offense there doesn't really translate well to the NFL, or a lot of the concepts in it don't really translate to the NFL. On top of that, Milton is a 6-year senior, but we'll get to see him at the Senior Bowl. Currently, I do have a late day 3 grade on him. At number 9, I have Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame. Prior to this season, he had a very successful career at Wake Forest. He's coming in at 6'1", 210, doesn't have ideal size, and his arm is a bit of a noodle, but dude works really well inside a structure. Like, he will step into the pocket, assess the field, and make quick decisions. He does a very good job of getting the ball out quickly. And he will not blink in the face of pressure. Like, he will take a hit to deliver the football. He plays with grit, and you know what? That extends to off the field as well when dealing with adversity. If you're unfamiliar, he was immediately a starter at Wake Forest the moment he arrived on campus. However, near the end of the season, broke his leg and had to deal with like the grueling rehab. Took over a year, and he eventually did reclaim his starting position. And then he had to deal with blood clots at the beginning of the 2022 season. However, he was able to fight back from that and made 3rd team All ACC. The dude's just a fighter. He might be one of the oldest prospects, though, in this class. The tools are limited, but he's got the moxie. I mean, he was touchdown Jesus for a reason. He's got the moxie to make an NFL roster. Big reason why I have a mid-day 3 grade on him currently. At number 8, I got Michael Pratt out of Tulane. And you know what? You might remember Michael Pratt from that 2022 magical Tulane season where they ended the year beating USC in the Cotton Bowl. It was pretty spectacular. However, this season he did miss a couple of games because of a knee injury. However, still made 1st team All AAC. You know, just business as usual, I guess, for him. Dude's got a solid build, good arm, and does a good job of processing the field and delivering the ball out quickly. Also shows a good feel for the pocket. And he also does a great job of keeping the play alive with his feet. Like, he might not be the scariest threat when it comes to like scariest threat with his legs. However, don't sleep on him as a runner. Like, over the last 2 seasons, he has over 940 yards rushing with 15 touchdowns on the ground. It's kind of ludicrous. But his lower body mechanics can be a bit inconsistent. He doesn't always throw from a constant base, which causes problems in his accuracy and his ball velocity. Just kind of varies throw to throw. On top of that, his anticipation and ball placement downfield or towards the sidelines are a bit inconsistent as well. But at the end of the day, he's got adequate size, he's got solid enough arm strength, and he's a natural leader. I mean, those are qualities that should put him in the early day 3 discussion, at least for me. But if you want to know more about these prospects, then check this out. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. At number 7, I have Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. And the first thing we need to talk about is his attitude. So let's start at the beginning. He was formerly a 5-star recruit out of the 2019 recruiting class. You may remember him from his star role in QB1. It was a Netflix series where he was apparently playing the role of a total douche, or at least that's how he came off. He would be later suspended his senior year for violating a district code of conduct. But anyway, he ends up committing to Oklahoma, becomes a starter in 2020, where he led the Sooners to the Big 12 championship game, made first team all Big 12. But it all started coming apart in 2021, where he was just booed by fans for his inconsistent play, and he was eventually benched in favor of Caleb Williams. You may have heard of him in the Texas game. I remember we did a watch along of that game on this channel. It's kind of wild how things kind of come full circle. After the game, Rattler didn't celebrate with his team, and it was just a sign of the end times for Rattler in Norman. He would eventually transfer to South Carolina, but first, you leave in Oklahoma, I guess you gotta give him a parting shot. He ends up just trashing the atmosphere, the environment, calling it toxic. But you know what? I mean, that was all 2 years ago. Like the past 2 years here in South Carolina, been pretty drama free. I'm sure it helps that he has Shane Beamer as a head coach, who's a real no-nonsense head coach. But since he's arrived here at Columbia, his attitude hasn't been a problem. So it might just be a non-talking point from here on out. I don't know. Teams are going to have to figure that out in the interviews, which we won't have access to. So let's talk about the actual prospect now that we got that in the rearview mirror. So I think he's going to shine at the Senior Bowl because he has got all the arm talent in the world. Like, arm talent was never a question when it came to Spencer Rattler. And arm talent shines its brightest in mobile. He also offers plus mobility. He'll keep his eyes downfield when extended plays, and he can put the ball on the money with a variety of different throws. He just has a knack for the big play. However, not so great, at least dating back to Oklahoma, and even some parts in the 2022 season. Like, not great operating outside of structure or inside of structure. Not great at taking the easy play. I mean, those are things that have just, like, you could tell at Oklahoma, those were things that constantly got him in trouble. But those were things that got better at South Carolina. At least the check down stuff, he was more willing to take his check downs than just, throwing a heave and putting the ball in harm's way. But I feel like, unfortunately, this year, because of how porous South Carolina's offensive line was, we really didn't get an answer to see if he can consistently work inside a structure. So that was kind of a bummer. But Rattler might be a little bit on the shorter side, but he's got all the arm talent in the world, which makes him a risk, I think, worth taking in the 3rd round, which is where I have him. Moving on to number 6, I got Michael Penix Jr. from Washington with a top 50 grade. He's 6'3", 213 pounds, and many people, I can hear the comment section now. Many people are going to consider this extremely low for Penix. So let me go over the reason why he is so low, top 50 low on my board. I know some people will think it's because of the age. He's old. He's going to be 24 at the beginning of his rookie season. But you know what? He's got the arm talent to make up for it. So that I'm not so worried about. Some people will be like, it's the injuries. If you're unaware of his injury history, you go back to his 4 years at Indiana. Every year ended with a season-ending injury. I think the most games he played in a season at Indiana was 6. He had 2 shoulder injuries and 2 ACL injuries. But you know what? He's played 2 full seasons at Washington, and you know what? Like, sometimes injuries are just bad luck. So that's not it. I'll tell you what it is for me. My biggest hiccup with Penix is his inconsistencies on the throw-to-throw bases. Sometimes it's accuracy and ball placement, while other times the timing's just off. And I think the 2 best categories that really show this is what his completion rate is on third down, which is 57.4%, which among my top 6 quarterbacks in this class is last. And then his completion rate over the middle, the intermediate part of the field, which I've kind of already referenced that earlier with Joe Milton, but that's also kind of something that translates in the NFL. And he has a completion rate of 69.8, which is 5th among my top 6 quarterbacks. His overall adjusted completion percentage, 74.1, might not sound bad, but that's last among my top 6 quarterbacks. It shouldn't be. So for me, it's not that much of a surprise that he ends up being here at 6 for me. But it's not all doom and gloom. I'm just telling you why he's here. But it's not doom and gloom with him because he's got an incredibly strong arm. And when allowed time, he has some of the most beautiful deep balls in this class. He can maneuver the pocket extremely well. And he's I think one of the best pure pocket passers in this class. All in all, he's a very good prospect who gets edged out in like upside, age, and consistency. But he's still one hell of a prospect. Now I'm going to piss everyone off because at number 5, this is going to drive a lot of people crazy, but it's JJ McCarthy from Michigan. And I have a first round grade on him. Granted, it's fringe first round. I will say that. So McCarthy, he's coming in at 6'3", 202. So yeah, he's really, really thin. But he's also the youngest quarterback prospect in this class. And when you have arm talent like that, someone is going to take a shot on you. On top of that, he is just a really dangerous athlete. And that arm strength doesn't waver when on the move. The talent is there. The tools are there. The upside is there. Like, he has some legit dots on tape. We saw a couple in the national championship. We saw a couple in the Ohio State game. It's just they're kind of few and far between because, well, he's not asked to throw the ball a ton. The offense didn't need to rest on his shoulders. And to be fair, with Michigan's offense, there was nothing really overly complex about it. But you go to look at some of the deeper analytics, like when under pressure, he has an adjusted completion rate of 75.6%. That's a pretty darn good. On third down, he was 67.1%. Solid number. Is it the best in the world? No, but it's a solid number. I'm not going to say, is he a complete prospect? No. No. We saw him be late on throws. His touch passes were inconsistent. But to be fair, he was a first-year starter, and he probably needs a little bit more time, maybe another year in the oven. The point is, the tools are there at the back end of the first round for a team to move up or even just take them at the back end, get that 5th-year option. just see what you have. You could literally have him on the bench year one as you develop him. But we'll see what happens. Let's get to my top 4, because at 4 I got Bo Nix, and I guess I'm a Bo Nix truther. That's the wild world we live in. I didn't think I'd ever be here. Listen, I'm gonna tell you to throw away everything you remember from his days at Auburn, because he is a radically different quarterback now here at Oregon. He is not the same guy. He has been a different quarterback the last 2 years. He's coming in at 6'2", 217, so solid frame. He's got an NFL arm. He displays good arm elasticity. Basically, he could really move his arm at any, or he could throw from any of his arm slots at a variety of different angles. He brings plus mobility. Like, he can remain accurate when on the run. And honestly, he's at his best, though, when throwing in rhythm. Like, he throws with timing, he throws with anticipation, and he also gives the defenders a little bit of the eye candy. Like, oh, you think I'm going to throw it here, but I'm going there. I love it. But the thing that he has improved on so much while being with Oregon is the decision making. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He hardly takes negative plays. He knows when to throw the ball away and live to survive another down. And I like that. This season, really, he was only asked to work about half of the field. Part of that is the scheme Oregon has there. Part of that is also, well, when your first and second options are getting open with ease, guys like Troy Franklin, Tez Johnson, even Terrence Ferguson was getting on the action. And of course, like Bucky Irvin, then yeah, it was a little easier on him. The dude is an older prospect, and compared to some of the other QBs in this class, he has lesser tools, but he makes up for it with being a high floor prospect. And that's why I have a first round grade on him. Because honestly, when you look at his tape the last 2 years, there's not a lot to hate about him. There really isn't. But before we get into my top 3, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Number 3, I have the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner, Jayden Daniels, who had an utterly magical season where he put up over 38,000 passing yards, 3,800 passing yards, over 1,200 rushing yards, and 50 total touchdowns. It was a mighty good. See, he has gotten better year after year after year. And this dates back to his Arizona State days. By far, I will say though, by far this season was a massive leap in development for him. Massive leap in production for him. And all, like, honestly, if you watch his games, like, you see him develop in the game. You see like the in-game learning. He just gets better as the game goes longer. And I like that. I like that a ton. He combines that with solid leadership. LSU raves about him. And he's also got a little bit of the Riz. That's right. I'm cool. But it's easy to see why people like him, right? And why people are falling in love with him, and they want their teams to move up for him. By far, his biggest improvement this season, big reason why a lot of people love him, is that deep ball. Like, everything from the touch, the ball placement, the anticipation downfield were massive improvements. Pair that up with his ability to run the football, and you have a scary dual threat athlete on your hands. Slim build, well, it's going to scare some people away. You know, they're going to want to value him as a runner. They're also going to want him to keep himself healthy. So maybe adding a few pounds currently here at 6'4" to 10. Also, there are times where he's a bit too conservative with the ball, or he holds onto the ball for too long. Brian Kelly's quick pass offense is kind of designed to help alleviate that, but there are times where he does hold onto the football too long, and I imagine part of that is just maybe him not seeing open wide receivers or anticipating open wide receivers. I'm fairly confident. A good part of that is just the coverages being different from what he expected pre-snap. As I think it was in the Alabama game, they were catching him a little bit with that. But I mean, often that's kind of when you see him bail the pocket, right? Just get out of dodge, because he had the athleticism to do so. And to be fair, I mean, like, these are also things that he got better at, though, during the game. Like, what he was expecting got better. His anticipation on his throws got better. The fact is, he's improved in so many regards that he has the tools, and he's shown development year in and year out. That's the type of guy you want to take a swing at. That's why I got a top 20 grade on him. But let's talk about the guys that are worth top 5 picks. And that begins with QB2, Drake Maye. The redshirt sophomore stands at 6'4", 230, an absolutely ideal frame. That's right. Ideal frame. Yep. And he has a legit cannon too. He can litter the entire field with actual dots. The arm talent, it's legit. He does a great job processing just the different looks defenses are giving him and knowing where to put the ball at based on what leverage the defense is giving him. And yeah, we can talk about his arm all day, right? But this man's incredibly dangerous with his legs. Like, it's kind of wild because you don't expect him to be, but he is. Like, he can hurt a defense with his legs. He maneuvers the pocket well, but he knows when to tuck it and run and just take off for like 10 yards, 10, 20 yards. It's kind of wild. Now, he isn't the perfect prospect. You'll go back if you watch his tape and you'll notice there's a lot more misses than what the analytics will tell you. There really are. Like, some of that is just sitting on his first read for way too long. Some of that is being a tick slow in his anticipation. Some of that is just not always throwing from a consistent base. But we're kind of nitpicking here, but that's kind of what you have to do with these elite prospects. It's like, even some of the stuff I listed off, it's far and few between. Like, I will say, though, his overall feel for the pocket probably does need to get better. Like, you've seen this guy bail from clean pockets. And I think a part of that is just you had kind of a new cast on the offensive line for North Carolina, so there might be trust issues. But even then, if you go back to his 2022 tape, like, you kind of noticed him like kind of drift into pressure sometimes. But regardless, this guy's a top 5 pick. If your team needs a quarterback, then you're probably taking Drake Maye. Or you're going to be taking my quarterback one, Caleb Williams. That's right. Who would have thought? Who would have expected it? He's a former 5-star recruit who, we mentioned earlier in the video, overtook Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma. And then he followed head coach Lincoln Riley to USC. The dude has a great arm. Great arm, pretty throwing motion. He throws from a good base. He's got very smooth hips when he's rotating, and he just whips the ball. He gets it out there so quick. And he can just make special throws that most of the quarterbacks in this class aren't even capable of. And on top of that, he is a keen improviser. And I ain't talking improv like whose line is it anyway. I mean, when things get gnarly, he can create. He can create something from nothing at some points. Like, he is able to, like, when the play breaks down, he's able to stay compact, dip to avoid rushers, and then accelerate out of danger, all while keeping his eyes downfield. It's kind of wild. Like, some of his plays are Madden-esque. And he is full, like, and that's not to say he's not capable of playing inside the pocket, because he is. He can operate inside the pocket. Like, he shows good pre-snap recognition of coverage. He stays patient as he like rattles through his progressions, and then he just puts the ball on a rope. Or this year, we've seen really good touch from him. like whatever the situation calls for, he does it. Let's talk about the bad, because when does he get in trouble? Well, he gets in trouble when he's hunting for the big play. He will sometimes put the ball in harm's way simply because he can. He's got the type of arm where he can do that. Now, those things are kind of few and I would say kind of few and far between. It's not enough for me to be like, oh man, it's bad. He's going to be a turnover nightmare. But where the turnover, I think, really showed up this season is when he wasn't anticipating pre-snap pressure. Because he does have a knack for floating backwards sometimes when facing pressure. And you could tell, like in the Notre Dame game, like when the pressure got home, so did the interceptions. So that, and to be fair, that was something he was really good at in 2022 and not so great at in 2023 is how he dealt with pressure. It's a volatile stat, and I don't think one I'm going to take really seriously when looking at the long-term projection for Caleb Williams. Because even when facing pressure, like this dude has insane vision as a runner. Like it just kind of helps him get out of such situations. Like the dude is just good. I'm just saying, for me, the good far, far outweighs the bad. Now, I will say, one of the issues that I've seen brought up on the X and in my comments is his attitude. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I think it's kind of dumb. Like, I'll see like, but he cries. So does Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis. We've seen those men shed tears. I'm not worried. I've seen, but he paints his nails. Yeah, apparently he paints his nails for meaningful games, like against Utah where he painted his nails. F Utah. So I don't really care. And then, this one, but he wants partial ownership of whatever team that drafts him. He made a statement, right? Made one statement. Oh, I'd be interested in doing that. And then the NFL comes up. No active players can have partial ownership of a respective franchise. And guess what? We heard nothing of it since. He's got the answer. There's no need to talk about it more. So why do we keep bringing it up? Well, he wants partial ownership. No, I think it's a fair question to ask. You had Mahomes asking about it, a couple of years ago when they were doing his contract. So calm down. Let these guys try to make their money. Oh man, this one got to me too. But he likes to hug puppies when he's sad. Who doesn't? Are you kidding? After going through my comment section, sometimes I gotta go hug Gojo, man. I got to. Gojo helps comfort me. That's my dog, by the way, if you don't know. And I'm pretty sure when he said this, it was followed by laughter. I'm pretty sure he said this in jest. So you got all these things about Caleb Williams. And if you want to know who Caleb Williams is, the dude's a competitor. He has a want-to-win attitude. It's infectious. Unfortunately, not infectious enough this year. But hey, can only do so much when the USC defense sucks that bad. But the dude's a stand-up guy outside the field. I love referencing this. In 2022, he paid out of pocket for two young boys to go attend the USC-Utah game after they lost their father. Their father, being a Utah fan, would constantly take his boys to Utah games. So Caleb paid out of pocket for those kids to go to the game. And then he met with those kids after the game. If you're unfamiliar, they kind of lost. Big move on his part. He also has the Caleb Cares Foundation, which dedicates resources to causes like anti-bullying, mental health awareness, and youth development. That all came from his NIL money. He's paying forward for that. Dude's kind of a good guy. So you can kind of miss me with all that nonsense when it comes to you don't like his attitude. You think he's a bad person. You think he's a soft person. He might be a little soft, but I'm still taking him at 1. But let me know who are some of your favorite QB prospects in this class. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.